Hello everyone, and welcome to the walkthrough for Valencia, second race of the season. And today I'll be in the AMG for this lap, the car that I took for the season. So this will be my first race this season, first walkthrough with this car, but probably gonna be on this car for the rest of the season, but could always change, we'll see on the track. So we're gonna do the same thing as usual. We're gonna go for the lap full speed on the onboard camera. Then we'll jump on the outside view to get a better better look at the line. And then after that we'll go corner by corner explaining, trying to find brake reference and acceleration point or any tips that I could give you to help in every corner of the track. And keep in mind that all the braking reference that we will tell you during this walk through is specific for me, my driving style, and this car and field of view. So different car, different field of view, driving style will all make those could change a bit for you. So it's just a reference for you to try, but at least you know around where to start braking or where you can, and then you could start to push it. If you have any question during the walkthrough after the lap, you could ask your question at any point. You don't need to wait at the end. And yeah, let's go to the lap from the inside. Alright, and that was a 130.5. Those were done in the outlap mode on 20-degree air temperature. Now we'll go watch the lap again, but we'll go from the outside. And
One quick question before you start on this. Because this track is mainly for motorcycles, am I correct? Is there a lot of camber or much camber in some of these corners?
there's a lot of corner with camber, yeah.
That's kind of what I thought. Yeah, it appears as though there's quite a bit of it.
I'm playing in VR and you could clearly see the camber pretty well, and some of them have a lot of it. So now from the outside, take a look at the line and also try to keep an eye on the throttle and brake input.
That's really wide on T1.
Yeah, we'll go to it after.
would say because this track was designed for motorcycles that the cars are having a tough time.
Trick is to go up on 2 wheels.
Alright, we'll go back at the start and we'll go corner to corner. So turn one, yes, it's really wide. We'll get to it after the breaking point, but that's the only corner you could do it like that for this track. So starting, so we have the longest straight of the track, and we're gonna go to T1, which is a really fast corner. And one thing before I go further, to get a good time on this track, you need to know the track limit. They are really strict. If you push a little bit too much, you'll get an invalid lap, or if you are during the race, you could have a warning, or you could have your first warning for the track or no time game if you're losing time. But it's really, you need to know those time where you could go to make those time, because it's a little bit like Misano in that. Okay, so first corner is the only one that you could push really wide, but all the rest will go after it. So coming to, yeah.
Hey Michael, real
Yep.
quick. Like one quick tip to burn through that is run a 20-minute race with the AI just to fuck up track limits. Like I do that often on tracks that I'm not exactly sure where all the limits are, and I just want to see like where my natural drive is going to have me put the car. Because
Yep.
I do a quick race just to do laps. Like I'm not even trying to win the damn thing. I'm literally trying to invalidate as many places as I can, so that I can just be like, oh, there's a track cut. Oh, there's a track cut. Oh, I did that on purpose. Oh, and I completely just make it a disaster. And that way, when I get to the end of the race, I can be like, oh, I only did one track cut, or oh, I did 10.
Yeah.
Shit, I need to pay attention.
Yeah, this track is really easy to get track cut on many corner. You could invalidate a lap almost easily on. I don't know if I go quickly through it. It's almost all of them is really easy, and they will give you. They're really strict, so be careful and try to push the limit to find those for you as yourself. As Devin says, good idea to try a race. At least after that, you look at the timetable and you know how many valid laps you have done during that the race. So coming to turn one, what I'm using is there's a couple things you could use here. If you're playing on the screen, I'm just gonna go further. I'm playing on the VR, so I don't really see it. So the last little post there on the track, some people use that, but on my VR, the graphics not really high, so I don't really see it right. But you want to, it's gonna be a little bit later than the thing. Yeah, I think you.
How about one of the yellow trucks on the right-hand side?
I'm breaking later than that. It's past that. So when you pass it, you need to break after it. So you have the. It's just because it helps. Sorry. To know when to break, because you have it's around the 50 meter, a little bit before, but like between those two, the 50 meter board is far on the left, but you still have the white paint on the rail that you could use. So it's like a little bit before that, so you still have those that to remind you where to brake. So like braking is coming, you pass it, and then before, not long after, you're on the brake. So like here I'll be on the brake, so it's a little bit before the 50 meter. You see on my screen right now is just past the 50 meter board on the windshield. I still see the white paint on it, and that's what I'm using. I'm using the white on it, but you could also, some people.
Are you talking about left A pillar?
Can you use the outside view too, just so we can see outside?
You want to see where I'm in the track?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't go over that white line on the entry.
Yeah. Well, I wanted
That's
to see
what I
that too.
found.
Yeah, I wanted to see that too for the entry, but I also wanted to see it on the pit exit.
Yeah.
Because, like, God, I know next week's gonna be a bitch with like people who aren't paying attention to the fact that the pit lane entry merges into traffic, and that it's like parallel, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have some people pushing that space, thinking like, "Oh, I can do this," and then a car's gonna be coming out, being like, "Oh, I want to get out quickly," and they're gonna touch right there. It's gonna be dumb.
But it's a warning if you cross that white line.
Yes. If you
If
cross the white line on entry, sorry, this white line, this will be a warning for you. Yeah. Quality will invalidate your lap. So be careful on that line. Don't. You want to go close. See, I still have a bit. The tire is not touching the line. It's really close. But you don't want to invalidate your lap on an easy place like this, just on the straight. So just be careful. Stay outside the line. But yeah, that pit exit, you will need to be careful if someone exit the pit while you're during the race. But the guy in the pit should not cross the line also. So that's the rule that we have here. We are not allowed to cross the line even on the exit a little bit further. You can already go see it.
Yeah.
So you are not allowed to cross this line until you get to here and even here.
It also may be just a good idea as you guys are doing outlaps coming out of the pits to like pay attention to a car coming down the main straight and clock them as you come out of the pits. Like if a car is coming out of the final corner and I'm leaving the pits when I leave, where will they be by the time I get to the entry? If they're in the middle and I leave, where will they be? And get really, really used to that because then that way in the race, when there's 30 cars all doing the same thing, when you look over and see a car in the middle of the pit lane, or sorry, in the middle of the main straight, it doesn't surprise you that all of a sudden a car is showing up because there's no guardrail, there's no barrier. It's not like Zolder or something. A car can wash wide and wash into your space. So you need to be aware of that. Like it happened in a race we had over the off season, where coming down the pit lane, minding my own business, some guy missed turn one, just like nobody's business, and literally slid through the space in front of me, right? And the only reason I knew is because I was looking and saw him coming, and I was like, oh shit, and just let him go by. Be aware of those things because that can ruin races.
Yeah. So like I said, you have a couple things for turn one. You have the start of the barrier. You have the flag that could help. You have the 50-meter board. There's a couple things that use to what work the best for you. So you're gonna brake hard. It's still a fast corner, but you're coming pretty fast. So let's go quickly. Hit the brake hard. Then we're gonna start to turn the car. Release. And then when I get to the green, get back on throttle. So you could use a fair bit of that T1 curve, the green. You could go on it pretty far before you get on balance. It's pretty smooth. You can see there's some camber in the corner too. So this is pretty flat to use, but you don't want to go too close to the edge, like all the rubber mark here, like middle. It's perfectly fine to use it. So you could cut it and use it. It should be fine. And for turn one exit, this one here is the only corner that you could do this on the entire track. So the track limit is not the curve. The track limit is the green stuff that we have after the curve. So you could have all your four wheel on the green. It will still be a valid lap. That's what they do in real life. You could use it. T1, it's fine. But the track limit is the green. So if you go past the green, if you have a left tire past the green, it will be invalidate lap. And also, you need to be back on track before the end of this like triangle curve. So if your wheel are on the white here, that will invalidate your lap. So you could go white, but you also need to come back to the track before this part of the track here. Let's go from the side. So since we could use it, we want to use it. See, I have all tire pass on the green, it's fine. Coming back normally, left tire will be on the white line, still, but if you have your this part triangle right in front of my car, if you have your left tire outside on the right, that will be invalidate. So just be careful to get back to the track before that. So let's take a look at full speed again. So see it's pretty fast braking. Like full throttle. So coming to turn 2, and you'll see I found on this track there's a lot of corner you brake really deep and try to trail brake as much as possible. I don't know, I'm not sure you have the AMG front engine. First time I'm driving the front engine car for a season, so I'm still learning it. That may be why, but I found you need to carry a lot of braking to those corners.
Hey, Michael.
Yep.
So this corner here too, like in turn 2, this is one of those corners you see a lot of people trying to make dives because it's a high-speed acceleration zone into a really heavy braking zone. And so you see a lot of people throwing the car in when they're following, or you see a lot of people throwing the car in if a car's falling off the road, or like you'll see a lot of that in big groups of cars where you have several cars together in a row, and so the car maybe third or fourth back tries to slot up next to the car next to them because they had to brake early to begin with. So you want to be careful about those things if you're trying the move and also defending from the move, because you don't have a lot of room to really make yourself visible. You see what the black marks are at the end. So it's really hard to get up alongside a car unless you've really started early along down the straightaway in the corner before to be like, hey bro, I'm here. But people will still dive in on you back there because they think they can beat you to the turn in. So you just need to pay attention when cars are behind you, of like what the gap is and what the distance is, and sometimes who the person is. You may have to just sit mid-track or sit a quarter of the trackway over just to discourage them from wanting to take that dive. Because on the racing line, it kind of opens this door that doesn't really exist sometimes. That people will be like, there's a space, I can make it. But they don't realize that the track does more than a 90-degree turn. And so they'll try to beat you and then you just end up crashing.
Yeah. Like you see on for this lap, my right wheel will be on the green stuff. That's really pushing on the quali lap, but some car doesn't like to have those wheels there. So if I'm like that in the race, it could look like I'm opening the door. Someone will try to dive there easily because I give so much space.
And don't get me wrong, like you could totally pass here. It's not saying don't
Yeah,
pass here.
it's possible.
It's just like you see a lot of dumb passes here too, like just ill-advised ones, right? Like where people are just too far back, they're too late. You know, the door isn't as open as they think because the car's coming back on the road, and so it's just kind of a place as you're practicing to see like, do people try to close up under braking? Do they stumble into you? Like things like that, because it'll ruin a race, and it can save your race sometimes if you just position yourself a little preemptively and be like, hey man, no way, and then just make the turn.
Yeah.
You lose a tenth, but you don't die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be careful on this corner. So what I'm using is the white mark that I have on the track right there, right on the green. So that is with the 50-meter board. So those paint on the ground are aligned with the 50-meter board that it's far on the right. So I'm not even looking at the 50-meter board. I'm just looking at the paint just because it's too far and the corner is turning left. So I'm naturally going to start looking at the left because it's turning. So just a little, see I'm already on the brake here, so just a tiny bit, like maybe if you look from the outside might be like 2 or 3 car length, maybe a bit more, but when you're from the inside, look like a car, let me see, but that's my marker for turn 2, and like I said, I'm using as much as possible the track for this lap. That will be like a quali lap, but you don't need to go that much on because the green is a little bit slippery. You don't need to be there. You can still keep your right wheels on the curve, the red and white curve, and you'll be still fine to do the lap. You're not gonna gain or lose a bunch of time by going on the green stuff like I did for this. So going to this corner, brake. There's some camber in this corner, and I'm gonna try to trail brake like here. I want to Again, you could go a bit on the green. It's like turn one. There's not. It's pretty flat, pretty safe to use. So it's the same type. You could use like half of it, no problem here. Should be good to use. Again, exit. So since we passed turn one, all the rest of the track, your track limit will be the curb. So if you're a left wheel or right, in this case it's the left, but other corner will be the right. If your wheels go all the way past the curb, it will be a track cut. So be really careful about that. It's really easy to cut on exit on this track. I will not say it enough, but be careful. I'm gonna use it here. I'm still gonna use the exit as much as possible because I want to carry my speed. I'm going on the curb. I still have a bit of space, so I'm playing. This is pretty safe for me. So I'm not on the edge of the track to use it. So let's watch it one more time from side. We're gonna go. See, there's some camber, so since there's some camber on the track, this one's not much on this corner. There's some corner that have a bit more, but those camber always help to grip the car in the corner. It just gives you more grip, so you could carry a little bit more speed than a flat corner. So you just want to throw the car in it, trail brake a bit, and back full throttle when you hit the apex, and use the exit. Coming to turn 3. Turn 3 is flat, no lift, no brake, nothing. And what you want to do here, because next corner is coming pretty fast after that, you want to keep it tight on the left. So you want to cut on the green, just the first part. Let's go back just a tiny bit. See, when I passed this time, it was pretty smooth. You didn't see, but if you go a tiny bit more on the green for this corner, there's a little bump, and then you could just move the car like a bit on the left. I will not go like really far like here on this one. It's a little bit more bumpy and a little bit more pronounced the angle on this one than corner 1 and 2. So just use a bit of it, it'll be safe. Like, you just move to go in, and you want to keep it tight so you stay on the left. So you don't want to use the exit here. If you exit more than the middle of the track, that's way too much because you will not have the time to prepare for the next right corner for turn 4. So keep it tight, see in the middle of the track, give me enough time to come back to the left. And because turn 4, my braking marker is again the white paint that you see on the green that is just in front of me. So if I go slowly here, I should brake. Let's see, brake like here, tiny bit before. It's really similar to turn 2, just a couple of cars before the white marks there. So let's go back. Watch from the outside and speed. You'll see how like get like middle of the track, tight, and then you back because it's so close. The braking so close after the corner. Right? If you exit too much on the right, you will not be well placed for turn 4. Let's go slowly to this one. So again, same thing. A lot of camber in this one. Brake hard. Get on the green, it's fine. And when you're like middle of the green, full back throttle. Same thing on the exit here. You want to use it as much as possible. So for this one, it will be hard to invalidate because there's the gravel after that. But you could, I think you still invalidate it. There's still some space in it here. You could go closer to the gravel than this. So if you have the gravel, you'll get slower, or you might invalidate it. So same thing, this curve, the red and white, is your track limit for right tire for this one.
Bless you.
So coming to turn 5. I don't have a really good one for this one. I don't even know what I'm using it, honestly. Like, is there someone that have a good reference for this one? Because I don't. It's just one of the corner that I'm doing by feel.
Yeah, it's kind of a feel for me too, because it's
Yeah.
kind of rolling thing.
Usually there's like a spot, like a dark spot in the green tarmac. I just use that.
I
What
worry
if
about
there's a car in front of you?
yeah, or
Well,
like
that's
the track,
unfortunate.
or the track grip is different, like it's a fast track,
Yeah.
or it's wet, or other things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you if is there on a green track?
No, it's just usually always there, and I kind of use like slide feel and slide the mark.
Okay.
I think feels fine here because it kind of like is a textbook kind of corner. So you already know you need to get the car slowed down, and you already kind of have a shit of a feel for braking for your car. So it's easy enough to kind of get a sense of where cars around here should generally be braking.
Yeah.
Normally I
There's
wouldn't say that.
also there's a light green section of the grass on the right hand side. Um, it comes by quick though. So you see, right about a little bit further. Right about there. As soon as I get to that little green pad or the light green stuff there, that's when I turn in.
On the far side on the right there?
Yeah,
Oh, that gives me anxiety.
yeah,
Try hitting that while you're paying attention to 4 other cars.
yeah. I mean, that's if I'm hot lapping, that's what I use. If not, I just do it by feel. Plus, if you're trying to pay attention to 4 other cars, shouldn't your braking zone be different anyway?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's why I asked the question to see what you'd answer.
Yeah.
Yep.
On a hot lap, maybe one of the 2 buildings on the very far left in your left eye vision up against the A pillar, because roll forward, let's see where your brake marker actually is, or when you actually hit the brakes. Okay, so you got the podium billboard and then the gray building on the left just above the fence. That's about the only thing I can see that would make a timing situation at all.
I also like counting works better there, but you have to do a lot
True.
of laps to get a sense because like your car accelerates at a certain rate, so you can just 1,000, 1,000, but still that's a guesstimate, right? Like
Yeah. For me, it's just by feel. It's just one of those corner that you'll do enough. It's not a long after the other, so I'm just getting to the rhythm of it when I do the previous corner right. I just know it. And for me in this car, I'm just shifting to third and then I don't shift back. So if you look, I'm like almost between. Check it full speed. You'll see I will go to third, but right when I go back to third, like I almost get on the brake at the same time, going back to second. So for me, like the RPM help for doing this corner, I guess.
Yeah, I leave it in second. Just let it rev.
I could too. I was trying to. I just tried different thing. No, I think the MG could still rev pretty high when it. So again, this corner still have camber on it, and like the other, you're gonna cut and you want to cut on the green. So you still have the green here. So you want to. So as you can see, it's not far. So you want to enter where it start. Like you want to enter your wheels there, and exit when it end, like the pointy bit of it. So you don't want to go all the ways up because you're gonna hit the grass here and could be some bump here, and that could unsettle the car really easily. So you could use a bit of it. Like I will do it just not even touching it. So, and on the exit, see here I did not exit. Like I will like on perfect lap to exit more on the left than that. I want to have my right wheels because I got a little slide here, so I didn't have the exit that I want, but I still have plenty of pace here. You could put your left wheels on the green, it's fine, as long as your right wheel on this case will not cross the red and white curbs. So just go one more time from the outside. So you got a tiny slide on the rear that didn't keep the car pushing, so that's the reason why. And coming to turn 6, again another corner. You could see, I don't know if you could see it good on stream, but you could already see the camber on this corner. So there's a lot of it on this corner, and that's a doesn't seem too much this corner, but it's really hard corner. If you don't get it right here, you have this straight after that you will be flat until turn 8, and you could gain or lose a lot of time. So it's really tough corner, even though it doesn't look as hard. And when I'm using again the white line that we have just in front of me, and that will be my reference for me. So coming here, I'm still turning, so I'm gonna jump on the brake, try to bring the steering straighter. So I'm starting to bring it back on the brake. So again, starting to turn, I'm gonna start to release the brake, and then I'm gonna coast a lot for this one. See, I'm just touching the brake a tiny bit here, but it's not, I think I was carrying too much speed, so just coasting again and back full throttle here. Again on the exit, same thing as the other corner. It's all the same thing. You want to use it. So left tire is still on the red and white curve, so it's fine. The rear one is really close, so be careful. That's where you're turning. If you make the car slide, it's only touching a bit. You still don't have. If your rear slide, front tires will still be in, so it should matter on this case. But
you ever notice the car getting a little squirrely when you're all the way on the concrete over there on the entry under braking?
yeah, it could happen. I don't feel it so much in the AMG, but other car that I was driving before, like I remember I was trying that Nürburgring after the Schumacher S, when I was going on the green on. It was happening like a lot of time. Yes, it could be slippy. It could trigger more ABS for some car. And
Yeah, because when I get that far over, it seems like ABS is so kicks in so hard. It's hard to get slowed down for the corner. It seems like.
Yeah.
And the grip level changes when you have to get
Yeah.
back on.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. There's less grip on the green for sure. Yeah. So yeah, it could be setting car ABS setting. They are different on every car, so some of them will be more sensitive.
Also, some people like brake and turn there, whether they mean to or not, and like you've got all those grip coefficients being all different. The car will hate it.
Yeah, driving style, how much steering input you give while turning. I still give a lot of turning while turning, but this one was not too bad. So now, yeah, this straight, so turn 7 is flat. Coming to turn 8, this one I find it a bit tricky. You need to, like the line on this one is a little bit tricky. What I'm doing, I will brake, like here, braking reference will be again a tiny bit, a little bit more than previous corner, but I'm still using this white line. So see, similar to previous corner, turn 2. There's a lot of turn here that's the white line's really good braking reference for me, for this car anyway. So we'll go to it slowly and take a little bit of the line. So I'm gonna brake here. But you want to brake late in the corner. You don't really want to be on that curve here, but just later, like a late apex, and then back full throttle. And this corner is it really easy to invalidate a lap to go wide on this one. Really, really easy. So we'll go again from
Slightly off camber on entry and downhill on the rest of the corner too.
yeah, this one is tricky.
It's almost maddening how long you gotta wait to get on power too.
And yeah, you need to be patient on this one now. Go check it. Full speed, so
It always catches me off guard too because of the way that the corner turns. Like, it just kind of like wipes out for me when I get up there sometimes, and then all of a sudden, oh! Like, even in the GT4s for a while, it took me a while to remember that, like, oh yeah, there's a left-hander there. Don't forget that one.
yeah, it's a tricky one. So that one took me a couple laps to try to get it right, but it's like a late entry, and then you patient back on power, but you're still turning a lot while you're on the power. See, I'll get here, let the car turn. Then you still have a long way to go. You just use the track, and then get to turn 9. Turn 9 is flat, so you want to cut on the green a bit, just because you want to place your car for turn 10. So again, and then you try to bring it here, and this one will be a lot of trail braking. If you want to practice trail braking, practice this corner. You're gonna trail brake a lot. So what you're gonna start. So what I'm using is like the end of the green that you have on the curve on the right for braking. So this one it's one of the corners you'll need to brake while turning. So it's really tricky, easy to carry too much speed on this one. So you'll get way too far on the left and you get off track, and it's just a really tough corner again, just because you're carrying all that speed and need to brake while turning and just trail brake at the end, just the way it is. So
this is very similar to the kink and the corner before the back straight at Misano.
Yeah, this track has a lot of similarity with Misano, I think. So going hard on the brake, still turning. See, I didn't broke the steering, and then here I'm gonna trail brake. Just gonna get some brake on the front, get some grip, and then back full throttle. We'll go back from the outside because I think this corner is.
Guys, pay attention to exactly how much trail braking he's talking about. I don't think he's even into the letters ABS on the screen.
Yeah, it's a weight shifting thing again. I mean, like,
Just enough to lean the car forward.
I think the more folks who realize that braking isn't about slowing down as much as it is about shifting weight, the more natural trail braking feels in certain corners. Because in some places it's like I just need weight on the front to get the car to turn. But I don't want to slow down. Like I don't want to take my foot off the gas here. So you know you can use the brakes a little bit for a little bit of elevation.
Yeah, that's why like inside some corner you could see me using like I don't know 5-10% of the brake in mid corner. But you'll say like, why will you slow down? It's just to give me more grip on the front because I was feeling that I was maybe didn't get the grip in the front, so I just put my foot on the brake just a tiny bit, so it just give me a tiny bit more grip on the front. Same thing.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to understeer. So because if I go into full speed, I'm going to understeer. So I give it a little bit of front brake confidence to make sure I don't miss the corner.
Yeah, and you will see the same thing. Like I'm doing the same thing with the throttle. Sometimes I will just give like a tiny bit of throttle just because I feel like I could do it. It's not like a requirement. It's just while you're doing so much race, you're just gonna get used to it and get the feel to it. Like, oh, I'm not carrying that much speed. You just give a tiny bit of throttle, but it's not that is not what gave me like half a second a corner. It's like minimal, like tiny bit. But yeah, take a look at the braking for this one. Coming in, braking, still turning the car, and then I'm gonna release it to F. And then I'm just playing a bit with the brake.
If anybody's ever heard me say this, it's just enough to turn the brake lights on.
Yeah, pretty much. Again, same thing on the exit curves here, track limit. And here, I'm staying on the green stuff here. But when you get here, there's grass and curb that's going from the other track layout. The AMG could pass on it really easy. Some car, probably some mid-engine, there's a bump here that could unbalance the car a little bit. So some car you will just go back on the normal red and white curves there, just do a little SS around it. But in the AMG right now, I'm just keeping there. It just could do it. It's like the car doesn't feel anything on it. But if you need to do it, you're not gonna lose time by doing it. So just like here, just going back on the track, and when you get to this point, then you get back to here.
Yeah, you can hear it just as you hit it.
Yeah. And yeah, see, we'll hear it. But in this car, it doesn't seem to affect it. Like it doesn't unbalance the car because front engine it could just eat curve. So it was fine with me. So that's why I'm staying there, but you don't have to. So coming to turn 12, another important turn to gain or lose a lot of time, but it's also probably one of the riskiest corner to try to gain time just because of the curb. Here you need to be really aggressive, not so much on the entry of the corner but on the exit. You'll see here when we go slowly, I'm pretty aggressive on the entry one. Also, but are some other driver that like was talking, someone was driving the M4 and was looking at my lap and said, how can you take that much curb? I guess just the car could do it or sitting, but the first one don't need to be this aggressive on it. Like, this is a lot.
Yeah, you can hear how much you hit.
Yeah, like don't need to go on the green. Keep your wheel on the wide and rear. Like if you go a little bit more than this, it will just, you're just going in the wall somewhere. If you pass the green, just a big bump here. So you don't go that much. You see, if you put your wheel down here, that's will be big. But
I saw a lot of people in Hop like just smash this and smash the other side, and I'm like, you're in a GT3 car, my boy. Like,
yeah,
your car hates you.
see, even from the transition from the red and white curve to the green is pretty steep. And you still have a big bump to do it. I mean,
it's like a sidewalk. It's just like smashing the sidewalk in front of a grocery store.
Yeah, I mean,
That, and you're already doing 153K going through this corner. When you lift the car off the ground, where does the aerodynamics go? Yeah. Right out the window.
And the mechanical grip just sucks dick if you get it wrong too, right? Cause,
exactly, because you're only on two wheels.
Yeah, but AMG handled it pretty well. I'm doing it pretty much every time I'm aiming on the green just because the car could do it. But like if I was back in the Porsche or another mid-engine car, I will probably not hit it because I'll die eventually.
My favorite's going to be the four cars that all try to do it at the same time and ruin each other's lives because someone hits the curb, then lifts, then brakes, and then dies. Like,
for those in the Ferrari, remember the rear of the car is wider than the back. So, excuse me, the front is narrower than the rear of the car.
Yeah.
So you could touch it with, the red and white with the front, and all of a sudden you're going to rear end it, and the back of the car lifts, and around you go.
Yeah. So what I will do, or other car, like you could go on the red and white just before the green. It's fine. This is a bit too much, but and then you need to be really on throttle soon. But you're using this one. You need to be aggressive just to open up the corner. This will be the limit. Even here, car bouncing a lot, and I mean the car that could eat curb. So this was like limit of what. We'll just go full speed and you'll see that it's pretty rough on the exit.
We're gonna have to experiment here a lot.
It was pretty rough. So I didn't lose the car or anything just because probably the car could handle it. But other car, if you go that far on this one, you're gone for sure. Because you need to push it, but again, track limit is the same thing. And here, go from here.
This is a place on the exit side that will possibly bottom out the car if you hit so hard.
Yeah, and since there's a big bump here, so the rear, the left tire, there's a chance if you hit it too much, the time you have a pressure loss on the rear easily here. So don't try to be too aggressive on the race. So you can see I'm like on the limit. I think I only have the front tire still touching the red and white curve. The rear tire is not on it, I think, at some point. Yeah.
That is so close.
I guess. That's more than the limit that you could go. I guess you could go out of it. Don't think it touched the front. Yeah, the front's not touching it. I guess I'm wrong for red and white curve are always the limit. But be careful on this one just because there's a big bump that could jump the car pretty.
Yeah, that next curb in front of you is the oops part of it.
Yeah. I can't.
Especially with cars that'll be on their quarter panels, like lose count of how many cars you see that follow you, and like either they're not even trying to pass you, they're just like in your blind spot when you bounce the curb, and then the car comes back down and it crashes into someone's front bumper because you can't control it.
Yeah.
Or have more steering lock in it than you thought, trying to avoid the bump, and when the car bounces, it digs in and turns right.
Yeah, or they try to get a run on you because you're slow as you're bouncing across the curbing, and they're trying to squeeze their way by as you're playing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and it's just like great.
Yeah, so be careful on this one and experiment a bit of it. You'll find enemy pretty quickly where you could go and cannot go with your car. So just try it and you'll see it. And so after that, come to the last corner. So another corner, it's like turning and braking at the same time. And again, what I'm using is the white mark that I have right in front of me again. See, I start to brake here just a tiny bit before it. You could use, I heard some Jardia was talking about the Fanatec sign in front of him when it's aligned with it. Could be. I don't personally like it. I prefer the line. It's coming pretty quick. But you also have those two elf board there. Those are destructible. So I start trying to help you because right here I still don't see the white line because it's going downhill. But when you start to learn the track, you could use those elf board to tell you the white line will come soon. So if you go a little bit forward, see the second is there, then I'm starting to see the line. So you're just going to give you an idea of where it is. So when you get used to it, you could just put all the pieces together and get ready for the line because it's just really hard to see the speed work coming in. Since it's downhill, you just see it at the last minute. Yeah, so trying to brake as much as straight line as possible and staying on the left, on the right I mean. And then I'm gonna cut on this one. You could go under green. It's pretty smooth for this one. You want to go on it. Back full throttle. You have a lot of camber on this one on the entry. And the exit is pretty flat. So be careful. And again, you have same track limit here, but be careful with this triangle right in front of my car, not the one on the right that the curve is going to the pit, but the triangle that is at the end of the curve. That triangle will be the track limit. So if you go, you think, oh, I'm good, that's the pit entry, I should be good, it's the pointed line. You can see on the other side, no, you cannot. You have to get back to the track before the end of this triangle. So you need to get your wheels, left wheel, back on the track, because if you are on that side, it will be invalidate lap.
Hey, Michael.
Yep.
Can you free cam fly down to where the pit lane line starts?
Yep.
Dun, 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 stop. Okay. Turn the camera around. See how far away that is from where you enter the chat. It's right here. Like, I'm just saying that for other people who also rewatch and don't practice their pit entries all the time, because you know that someone's going to come right off the pit lane and stomp on the brakes where the orange bit is, because they don't know.
Yeah, it's
have
far.
cars all backed up. It's such a far run. Right? You've got all of this nice area that you can get slowed down, and it's really easy, this one.
Yeah. Do you have a braking reference for it? I didn't even try it yet.
I don't even try. I just
I know it's not
constantly
here.
every time. Yeah, it's definitely not here. No, I honestly, it's a feel thing. It's just as I come in, I kind of just work through the gears and the limiter, and I kind of just get a feel for it. And
can we go down about car level, where car level would normally be, just with the camera? Okay, because you can't see the grass here. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
From
and
the
the
upper, yeah, from
buildings aren't
above
close enough.
the buildings aren't close enough. It doesn't give any kind of reference.
Yeah.
Because the grass starts right about here. I think if you look to your right over the top.
Yeah. It's almost like when you pass the building. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'll need
Maybe a
to
little
try
early,
it.
but still,
Yeah.
at whatever speed you're coming in here, if you break at the end of the building, it's probably a decent beginning.
Yeah. Well, because often what I find is like I literally just get the car down in the first and hit the limiter, no matter what. And I'd almost prefer, if I'm not exactly sure, to be braking in first on the limiter, get the limiter on, and then just jump on the throttle before I hit the line. Because at least if I hit the pit lane line with the limiter on, going ba 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 ba, I know I'm on the line because I'm literally driving it in on the limiter. It's not accurate, it's not fast, but it's safe because you know the limiter is on. And, rather than passing the line, and then once you pass the line, you have to either slow down more or just pray that you haven't accelerated through it.
Yeah. I'll do some testing and we'll see if I could find it, and then I'll just post it somewhere in the chat.
Yeah, maybe everyone should, and that's homework for folks. Of,
Yeah.
like, where do you think you should brake, right? Because, I mean, it's going to be a bitch, right? Like, 2 cars, 3 cars even coming in, and they all brake in different places. It'll be a surprise clusterfuck because you just don't know where other people are expecting to slow down, and you won't be off sides of them because I know you won't. And then all of a sudden a car slows down and you run in the back of it right before you pit. You're going to be so mad.
Especially if somebody tries to pass you in the entrance of the pit lane.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's still part of the racing service too. So in all honesty, if let's say you slow down at the orange marker, I can get off the pit limiter, drive up next to you, and get back on the pit limiter. That's a completely legal thing to do.
Yeah.
So and some folks will do that. I did that to somebody in a race a couple weeks ago, where they slowed down right in the beginning of the entry, and I just went brah, and right next to them, and then hit the limiter. And it was like, you just don't know where the racing service is. It's still here.
Back to your point, though, Michael, about the track limits here at the end of this diamond in front of you. The dotted line is the entry to the pit lane. That's why it's illegal.
Yeah. Yeah. Just need to practice the pit. You could lose or gain a lot of time if you do a good pit. I mean, if you're fighting with someone with 2-second gap, you could gain it in the pit. Practice your entry.
This is one of those weird tracks where it's like you can lose it on the entry because you don't know where to slow down. You can lose it on the entry because there's someone runs in the back of you. You can lose it on the exit because you're not paying attention to traffic and traffic just crosses in front of your way. Because like we all know one person that's not going to be looking at the pit lane exit as they're driving down, right? And they're just going to go in full speed no matter what happens. And you're going to get to the end of the line as they are turning. they're going to miss the apex because they never make it anyway and smash into you. So you've got to be extra attentive as cars are coming down there, just to let them slide in front of you or know for damn sure you're clearing them before you leave, because they're still going to be in that space. They'll probably get a penalty for it and all that good stuff, but who cares, because your car is broken. So
Yeah, for pit exit, when you exit, I think it's still fine to use a green. I don't think it will give you a warning, so it's still on the track, so you could still cut here, cut on the green, that normal track. So if someone's coming, at least you give him more space if you go on the green than just cutting on the asphalt and being not even on the curb.
And this is another one of those that's like Zolder on the pit exit.
It's a dangerous run. You like first corner is so fast. You're carrying all that speed. You want to go on the green, and the car that exit the pit will be right there. But we need to deal with it.
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know where I find that.
Don't know where you heard that.
No.
Are you guys in cahoots or something? What the hell?
You have any question on any corner or anything you would like to see back?
Oh, I actually have one for you. Often I look at other tracks that are similar when I'm trying to find a setup. Like as I'm trying to get kind of a baseline setup, if it's a car I've driven a lot, I will look at. There's some general characteristics this track reminds me of. What tracks does this one remind you of?
Misano.
Okay. How come?
How come?
Yeah.
Oh. Italian.
Oh, rude. Well,
Oh, yeah, some
Both
fast
of them
corner.
both of them are used for motorcycle racing.
Okay, so I need a little bit more than that.
Oh, they also have flat curbs, and you use as much of the curb as possible. It seems like on both tracks.
That's better. Yeah,
yeah.
Right. A lot of medium speed corners that are flat, long sweepers, long lateral loaded corners. Like I don't give a shit
Requires
what country it is.
a good trail braking and shifting technique.
Right. So that's something that you may want to think about, especially on a new track or a track you haven't been before. Of like, what kind of characteristics of tracks that I've driven in the past is this track like, so that you can kind of get in your head like what to expect. Right. To me, this is like a Misano Suzuka hybrid. And so you want to, get used to the flowing corners back and forth, but it's very narrow everywhere. Like the line is very narrow in a lot of places. So even though I can run wide a lot of places, it's kind of dumb, right? So I kind of think about that when I'm thinking about car setups of like, what does the car feel like on a good track other places, so I can get it closer and get it closer and get it closer. Because eventually, unless you have a track that has some unique characteristic that it's like, oh my God, there's nothing like this here, like a Bathurst or something, right? You need to start to find constant themes between types of tracks and group them together. It'll reduce the amount of time you spend in setup and spend more time driving.
Can I have a look at turn 1 and the turn with the curbs? Just to see on like full speed, just where you start the throttle.
Yep.
Because I think I'm not going on throttle too early enough on turn 1.
That fully depends on your ability to exit the corner, though.
Yeah, I can always slow down earlier to get on the throttle more.
True.
It depends on speed versus... I'm not using that much curb. That's the other thing.
Entry or exit?
Exit curb. I kept getting track warning, then I figured out it was my entry that was giving me the track warning.
So turning in too soon?
No, I was going over the line on the pit lane, but I thought it was the exit curb.
Oh, yeah.
So okay. Yeah.
Because it doesn't tell you until you exit, and I'm thinking, oh crap.
Yeah,
sorry, can you just do it one more time?
Yep. One from the inside or outside this time?
Inside, please.
Okay.
There you go. All right, I gotta adjust that, and then the ones with the curbs, the curb one.
Track maps is above the chat.
12? The one's dangerous?
Yeah, the nightmare one. The one with all the bumps.
That's 12.
Yeah, 12, 15.
Right there.
So do you brake a lot more? Have you tried? So, because on this one, I'm usually braking harder and taking corner speed to get on the power earlier.
He showed 100% for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you do it from outside? I just want to see where you hit, how you turn your car. Does that make sense? If you do a late apex or early apex or whatever on the bouncy curb.
Just slow the speed so you can see better.
Okay.
But don't do it like me.
No, I've
This one
been hitting that and killing myself so much.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Like, this is way too much. I don't want to try that in race. But it seems to be fine with this car, but you never know.
So the last corner as well. I know I keep maximizing time.
No,
That's
it's
fine.
We're here to answer questions.
So this one is the same thing about you put power on. I've been braking to the apex, being it's downhill, and I think I've been trying to carry a ton of corner speed, but it seems like you brake, turn, and then just power out of it before you hit the green.
Yeah, always focus on those cars. The GT3 is better to focus on exit. So you're gonna gain a lot more time on if you have a good exit on a corner, especially here it's a straight, because the aero is good on the GT3, but it's not a Formula One. So you want to maximize your exit instead of carrying.
We hang out way too much.
Probably. Because since you don't have the same arrow, you cannot carry that much speed. You could still carry, but you're just gonna kill your exit. And the GT3 will gain a lot more time on corner exit than you're going to gain on carrying a ton of speed during the corner.
Plus, braking a little earlier or slightly more makes the car much more stable on entry, so that you can actually place it near the apex where you want it to be. And when you get to the apex is when you start to get back on throttle. So it all starts with the braking to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's like you want to get back to full throttle as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And a lot of people carry so much speed in there that they end up turning a lot, and then they have to let the car settle, and then they have to get back to power. So like if two cars are going at the same time while you're spending a bunch of time with a bunch of lock in the car trying to turn, the other person's on the gas, dead.
Yeah. That's what I'm meaning, because I think I'm using the green stuff more as, my midpoint of the corner. Keep the speed, and then when I put power on early, my back end's just kicking out.
Yeah, entering too
because
fast.
I have too much steering lock on.
Yeah.
Either entering too fast or the line's too narrow, right? What I try to do is I try to cut the track out like a piece of paper and just pretend like the race is just one corner, and I'm just trying to get through that corner as fast as possible. And I say on the line that I enter, am I giving myself the best possible exit to get to the end? Like the race is 5 seconds long, I got to get from the entry to the exit, and then I win the race. And that helps me kind of figure out if I need to make a line adjustment. Because as I'm coming out of the corner previously, I can visualize where the car needs to be on the entry. And if I'm in some weird place, then it's like, well, where the hell was I over here? I need to be wider, or I need to be somewhere else to give myself the opportunity to win the one corner race I'm in.
Right. Yeah, if you don't mind going, it's just to see where you are coming in. Because it's like the corner pulls away from you.
Yeah, in this corner I let the car on the brake, but I let the car drift on the right because it's still turning.
Yeah, it's how much of that. Okay. Alright, okay. Because I'm taking a lot more speed than you on that corner then. Because I'm all the way onto the... I'm further to the right than you at this point, and then I'm turning. So I'm making this a very a big radius corner. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could be still a bit more on the right here, turning a bit later, but it's not much. I cut a lot on this one.
Right, but I'm still braking till here. And you're
probably taking away too much grip while you're still trail braking.
Yeah, I think so. And it's being the downhill's messing me up as well.
It's a pain in the ass, dude. Like, even in the GT4s, we were going much slower. Like, I used to charge into there at full speed in this slow-ass little car, and you're thinking, like, I must be really moving. And then you get on the power, and the car just washes wide, and you're not going anywhere, and you're freight train. For the GT3s, it's worse because you're carrying ludicrous speed down in there. And so if you do the same thing, it just never turns.
Yeah, and the track limits are helping me because I kept getting track limits on this, so I never went onto the green. But knowing where I caused the track limits, that helps me. Because I was doing what you guys have suggested before. You know, you play around, especially with the racing, with the AI, to find out where your track limits are. And they kind of confused me because I was getting track limits, but I probably shouldn't have been. I was getting them from this one, from where you're saying where the triangle was.
Yeah.
But I thought it was from putting my wheels over the white line on the exit.
Well, you say an interesting thing there too. Like, there is an important difference of like where you feel like the track limits should be and where the game is just literally going to give them to you. And so, in a couple corners on a couple tracks, like, it's dumb. It's a dumb place to have a track limit. I hate it. Like, the exit of Degner 2 and Suzuka is a perfect example. Like, I think it's dumb to have a track limit cut there.
Yeah,
but it does. It does, and I'm gonna get a penalty for it all the time. So I got to drive within it. Like, I would argue that to death if I was in front of a real person. But still, I'm not. So I think also too, just knowing where the game's gonna game will be helpful.
Anybody else have any other questions? Any other examples you might want to look at as far as the track limits and everything?
Did folks find this useful, or did they go drinking? No,
you do
drinking.
turn 2,
Everybody
turn 3 and 4. Just drive through on there, please.
Yep.
It's because it's another track limits one after turn 1. So it's like lining up through turn 2. I go wide on turn 2, and that screws me up. But I hit the track limits on turn 2, exit quite a bit because I'm too impatient.
Yeah, it's an easy one to get here into.
Yeah, I put power on 2, and then I purposely go wide for the next corner, which gives me a stupid track limits. It's like I don't need to, but I just pull over because I'm being dumb.
Well, the thing is you're already out near the curb, much less on it. That should be the full definition of wide enough to begin with.
Yeah, it's like in soccer when you're looking at where to pass to before you receive the ball. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm looking at the corner, and I then drift over and cause a track limits, even though I'm in full control going straight. I purposely give myself a track limits being stupid.
Yeah, if you don't throttle too early, you're just going to push a car wide.
No, I mean, I'm not. I'm
not?
perfect. I could have kept whatever angle I wanted, but I just drift by moving the steering wheel to try and make this corner wider on purpose.
I would say, if nothing else, that was just a mental error. If anything, that's obviously not on purpose, but it's just, we've mentioned it so many times that you need to open the corner to make it, less turning, and a wider entry could be quicker. But still, remember, there's a very short distance between 3 and 4 that you have to be able to sacrifice 3 to get into 4 properly. So you're probably trying to, like in your imagination, rotate the corner around a little bit to help yourself out.
Yes, I fully agree.
Yeah, just cut on it. Use a green here instead. It should be good. You don't need to over push on the turn 2. Don't need to open up as much.
I think this is going to be one of those tracks where if folks can get running in groups as soon as possible, it's going to help them. Because you're going to see a lot of stumbling initially because folks haven't been racing with each other. So they're going to do what they always do, right? They're going to try to do a 31 so that they can impress their friends. They're not going to do that in qualifying. They're going to run in a group for the first time in the race. They're going to be 15th and they're going to run in the back of somebody because they wanted to break where the green patch was rather than looking at the damn road. So the more you can run with the battle buddy and just get a feel for the track and the flow for the track and get your brain in the sense of like, I'm racing with other cars now, I think it will help you a lot, especially in the race, because there will be a quarter of the field this week that will not be here or have practice. And so you'll just have an advantage over them in the opening laps because they'll be doing dumb stuff.
Like normal?
Ask me how I know.
How did you know?
This is why we talk about practice, gentlemen. Even myself, I did 5 or 6 laps this afternoon, and I got frustrated. I was like, I know I'm doing this wrong. I got to walk away from it.
Yeah, or just run with a friend until they outrun you, right? Like we did this to Suzuka until our eyes went wide, right? We just did a lead follow, and the lead car pulled within 3 seconds. They slowed down, and some folks like I opened the margin a little more, and some folks I slowed it down a bit, right? But once we, the kind of the unwritten rule was within 3 seconds slow down, and then we just kind of kept doing that until we could come back to each other and say, why am I always outrunning you on turn 3? Oh, it's because you brake stupid. Or oh, why am I always outrunning you in the deck nairs? Oh, it's because you don't brake there, or whatever, right? And so that will help you, I think, a lot get through a lot of these learning curves more quickly because, like, unfortunately, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know what to ask, and you can't see yourself when you're driving. So when you're making a big mistake, even when you're looking at the replay, like, your ego doesn't let you be as self-critical as you would be just in a battle where you could just be like, the blue car got away from the red car. Who cares who's driving which car? So find a friend, do laps, ask questions.